Hey there folks, welcome to this video, and here I'm going to be trying out, well, you might have heard that menu music if you're familiar with it from any kind of racing games. Trying out F1 2021, and I mean I've played it since launch. I did a league in it. I've received 14,750 Bitcoin apparently. But the reason why we're trying it out is because of this, Algarve. Newest release. We will be having Imola next month, and then Jeddah the month after. So I'm looking forward to next month's content, I can tell you that much for sure. But let's try out Portimao. Now, I've heard people asking whether or not it's laser scan or not. As far as I'm aware, it was built ground up, because that's how Cody's tend to do it. But I could full well be wrong, and my light's just blown up. There we are. Better. Now, I'm just going to go out to the baseline setup. We're on equal performance for the cars. So, this Merc will be the same as a Red Bull. Be the same as a Ferrari. Be the same as a Haas. I tell you what, I've driven Algarve in a lot of different games. Never seen a track map like the way it is. I'll show you it in a second. But I'll give my first impressions of this first, which are not actually half bad as a way of doing it. I said that it would be like your kind of first taste of what Cody's are going to do under EA ownership. Just noticed I went all four wheels off the track there and it did invalidate, probably because I was going slow enough. But given that so many people are like, oh, it's not going to have elevation, oh, it's not going to be realistic, it's not a half bad job. Curbs, well, I mean, they don't look the most realistic, but, I mean, that's compared to what I've seen of Portimao. But it could full well be right as well. Let's have a look. Because you can have a look at the track map now. And I'm used to seeing it the other way. But at the same time, this is a track that Cody's have had before in games. Like, it was in Grid 2, it was in Grid Autosport. Those are really the only games that have had Portimao before. Lots of games don't tend to include it. They do. There are spots. So, say, Assetto Corsa or R-Factor 2. Yep, that's definitely invalid. Oh, that corner's going to catch me out a few times, I know that. But I'll tell you what. It's a lot of fun to drive. It's got some extra challenges to it. Gutted it wasn't in last year's game, but the good thing for me, the big thing for me, is, like I said, Cody's have done this before. This track has been in Cody's games before. But, as I'm going to take to the escape road here, which, yeah, it's quite nicely possible. It's definitely not a copy-paste from the Grid franchise. Which is a good thing, because it shows that even this is like a hand-built one, it's handcrafted from scratch. Oh, you can overextend there, but at the end of the day, you're not going to be faster doing what I just did there. Now, F1, of course, is not the most ardent sim, but then I don't think it necessarily advertises itself as that. But what I'm going to do is, well, we'll see if this lap holds on to being valid for now. Only a couple of corners left. That crest in this whole complex is going to catch me out a few times, I can tell you that much. Let's, not fast, but let's try it out with AI, hey? Apparently the car performance, in terms of like the performance handling model and all that overhaul, still hasn't come to the game yet. And there are people who are very annoyed that it hasn't come to the game yet. But Cody's, they want their drivers to have it, and they still haven't got it working for AI. So I can actually understand them not wanting people to have it when the AI can't drive with it yet. And this is the thing. So I delete that because I don't need it for replays anymore. Let's go for a 5-lapper. Yep, 5-lapper, no quali. Hopefully I don't run off on the AI. I've got it at a relatively low setting just so I can talk you through, well, this. But yeah, I think when it comes to Cody's in the F1 game, they get a lot of criticism. Some of it, like the kind of year in, year out, same thing kind of criticism. Oh, is this wet? It is.
Out Portimao as we prepare for what will undoubtedly be a magnificent day of racing. It's time, of course, for the Portuguese Grand Prix. A lap of Portimao is 2.9 miles long, and it's made up of 15 turns, 9 right-handers and 6 left-handers. It's been described as a roller coaster with a lot of elevation changes. There's more than one blind summit, and the conditions today aren't going to make visibility any better. So drivers are going to have to be on the ball if we're to avoid a safety car here today. And as always, a man with plenty of racing experience joins me in the
Portugal is the oldest country in
Europe.
Europe.
Today it's Anthony Davidson. Tell me, Ant, you're no stranger to surviving the melee of turn 1. So how do you keep out of trouble when there's so much going on around you?
Well, the throttle goes both ways, Crofty. You've got to have the discipline not to try and win the race on the first lap. So always be prepared to lift early and give those around you more space. Trying to be the last of the late breakers with half a dozen cars around you may pay off from time to time, but it's also a great way to lose your front wing.
Charles looks depressed.
With the race,
well, let's see what the grid's like, and we can try and ascertain as to why.
Like.
Ah, that's why.
Mick Schumacher.
Wait, what?
Antonio Giovinazzi and George Russell. Latifi and Kimi Raikkonen finishes off.
This game is just doing Kimi so dirty. It's brilliant. Let's see if I can get the start. Oh. No TC. I've not driven in the wet with no TC in this game yet. Tap to Checo. Almost did a Checo with that spin there. I have the AI way too low. They're braking very early. So actually, given the amount of oversteer I'm getting on throttle, that might be a good thing. Because means I'll be able to fight up at the front in a bit. Whoops. I think my track limits are on regular, not strict anyways. So I'm not going to expose anything to do with those things. Oh, if only there was DRS.
Good job. That was the fastest lap of the race so far.
Fifth gap car on Verstappen. Bonk. Now that's how you do that without trying to kill your opponent.
Nice work. That brings you up a place.
Ah! Just wondering if I could exceed track limits on regular. Turns out rounding out to a double right does that. Verstappen is angry. Yeah, I mean, what else can I say about this track? Like, it's not one that's particularly well covered in many of the big sims. I think Race Room might have it. But, of course, the Assetto Corsa games don't. R-Factor doesn't. iRacing doesn't. I mean, AC and IF2 do as mods, but not as actual made-for-game content. I said RF2 has Estoril, which is a lot of fun. But, I mean, I can see why people... Like I said, I can see why people are critical of Cody's over this being a delayed release, but for me, given that this seems like it's a new build from them compared to the Grid games, quite happy with that. Just wish they were able to do it at a better rate, you know. Hopefully they'll be able to do that with EA money. I mean, we're going to get a new track every month, and I would love if they put Istanbul Park in as well. Or throw in like the Bahrain Outer Circuit and
This is your final
those
lap.
bits and
Final
pieces.
lap of the race. We're leading our teammate by 2.5 seconds.
Because it's not like, I mean, if you're playing an F1 game for realism, if you're playing the F1 games for realism, then you've gone to the wrong place. Like, if you're going to it because you're like, oh, this is going to be the thing to beat tight racing. No, it's not. If you're going to it because you're like, oh, this is going to be better than R-Factor or Assetto Corsa. I mean, each their own. The single-player experience is second to none compared to the rest of them, but that's because it's designed for that. But for your casual racer who just wants to be able to play F1, could be on a pad, could be on mouse and keyboard if they want, could be on a wheel, budget or high end. This works. It really does. I like it. And for me, it doesn't matter if it's realistic or no. It doesn't matter if it's laser scanned or no. It looks roughly how it's supposed to. It feels roughly how I would expect it to.
Great drive. We did it. Good job.
That's that. Thank you, Jeff. See you all around. Bye-bye for now.